So over the course of the past week, I've been like dicking around, cleaning, whatever. So I've been fucking around with dating apps a little bit over the past like 2 months. And one thing I've noticed is that there's a very weird kind of culture with it in present day. There's four people, two kinds of people in my Gen Z age group. There are the people who, like me, have like some pretty strong stigmas against dating apps because it's like, isn't that just for like hookups? Or like, isn't that like really superficial? Like vapid? Isn't that just like kind of blah? And then there's the other people. Then there's the people who do go on the dating apps, but they're all like women with trust issues. Or I don't know, maybe that's too harsh of a way of putting it. But it's all people who will go on dating apps and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I know this is a dating app, but like, I'm just kind of like, I'd rather like first try things out as friends and then like whatever. They're like, I'm not totally sure about like my sexuality. And so like, you know, I'm still figuring that out. But if you want to hang out just as like friends, it's like, okay. So these are very two different like perspectives. And I'm like walking the middle here. But fuck it. So I was just like dicking around on my couch on Hinge, whatever, messaging people. And I matched with one girl and I was messaging back and forth with her for a bit. And then my trick, which so far has 100% success rate, but is you'd be like, I am not smooth. I don't know dating apps very well. Do I ask you out on a date first or ask you for your contact info first? And then that normally suffices as like to get one of those two, if not both. So far it's been both, 100% success rate. I do that, the tried and true. And this girl, she's like, figuring out sexuality, whatever. But you're welcome to come to this, you know, or I'd be down to do a hangout with you and my lesbian friend who likes you, like fucks with your vibe. And I'm like, fuck it, man. Who cares? I ain't got shit going on. So I agree. And so then it's planned for the next night. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what the hell is going to happen here. I don't know what this is. It's also supposed to be at a bar, but it's not a bar that IDs, but it's like, I don't think it's like a bar, you know? I don't know. But so I go to that and I show up. I mean, I run a little bit late because trying to find parking is fucking miserable. But I get there and I go in. And so I get waved down by this table of 4 people. Four people. I asked one person out on a date. I'm now going out with 4 people. Here are our characters. So there's girl I ask out. Then with her is lesbian girl. But I come to find out lesbian girl's not a full-blown lesbian. She's like 95%. And she's still figuring her shit out, right? Everyone's figuring their shit out. I guess I am too, by the fact that I didn't immediately leave when showing up with 4 people. But there was also like 2 guys there. And it was like, okay. It was a very odd experience going in and just being like 4 people, because I realized then immediately that like, what is this? Like, this is not a date. This is not a romantic thing. Because if it is, I'm checked out. I make a few jokes repeatedly of how, like, what is this? Am I being interviewed for the polycule? Like, what are we doing here? Because, like, the lesbian girl who was, like, the leader of the group, it's like the, what is that? The TikTok Riz party? Like this. Oh, it's like, oh, this guy's dominant. He has like the central character vibe, this whole meme. But this girl, she's the leader of the group, Raphael. She's like asking me like interview questions. She's like, what are you into? What hobbies do you have? I'm like, am I getting interviewed for a polycule? I said that. I don't know. It was very odd. But so I go around and I ask them all, like, what is their deal? So there's 4 people. So there's the lesbian, not lesbian girl, who is goth and into Hassan and other leftist YouTubers. There is girl I asked out who the whole time on the background of the bar, they had the Howard the Duck movie the like old Marvel movie from before Marvel movies were Marvel movies. And it's like a fucking horrible movie that people shit on all the time. 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the whole time in the background of the bar, they have this playing. And she's just watching that. She'll like occasionally pop into the conversation, but otherwise just watching Howard the Duck be Howard the Duck. Then there is Guy who... I'm trying to remember what this other guy was. It was like a white guy with a mustache. He had like kind of a mullet, I think, and like a septum piercing. Like 3 out of the 4 of them had septum piercings, but he had one. I think he was like, what was he doing? He was just like chill guy that was there. And then there was 4th guy who was, I don't know how the fuck he ended up here. He got into Stanford and then something personal came up that caused him to drop out or like take a, I think he's technically on a gap, or no, he's on a sabbatical or academic leave or something. I don't know. But he said like, oh, there's something personal that happened. And it was one of those things where it was like kind of chucking the bait in. And it's like, either you want someone to acknowledge like, oh, what was that? And then you say like, I'd rather not talk about it. Or you just want someone to ask you about it. But I made the conscious decision of, I'm not going to ask about it. Because I assumed it was more of the like, you don't really want to talk about it kind of thing. But so he was a Stanford dropout and he was trying to transfer to UF, but he wasn't from Gainesville. So I don't know why he was here, but he wasn't in UF yet. So again, I don't know why he was here. But he also had like, he had some weird energy to him. He was like not the whole time. He a few times mentioned wanting to like fight. Not like me, but just in general. He was saying how like his goal, he's in the like ROTC for the school, which I didn't even know existed still in universities. I thought all of those kids would have like knocked up a wife and gone overseas already. He was in that, and he's saying how like his dream is to go through university and then come out and then be deployed and fight on the front lines. And it's like, bro, like what's going on? Like, I'm not going to be the person you want to talk about this with because I don't give a shit, but like, what is going on with you, huh? You want to fight on the front lines? Like, just be a boxer or something. Be an athlete. But he was like, no, that's like, there's not stakes. It's like, bro, there are plenty of stakes. Boxers fucking die. It was ridiculous. And so the whole time it was kind of like a little bit of a weird vibe because it felt like very much a audition for the friend group. There was this main girl, the lesbian girl, who she was nice and she was engaging and stuff, and I could see myself being friends with her. But like the other people, I don't know, they had their own vibes. What I figured out is that like 3 of the 4 of them met through Hinge. Like the lesbian girl dated Mr. Septum Piercing, or like went on some dates with him, and they met on Hinge. And then on one of those dates, she met the other girl, Howard the Duck girl. And then the other Stanford guy, I don't know how the fuck he got there. But so it was like an audition for the friend group. That's what I realized, is it was like they were just doing Hinge to try to meet people. And it was like, okay, whatever. I was only planning on being there for like an hour, because I had to come back and edit the podcast. So I was just like, yeah, sure. So I stuck around. And while we were talking, whatever, 20, 30 minutes into being there, another guy shows up who also is here for Hinge, also is here from a Hinge date. And so this guy, he has his own fucking energy. He's like technically a business major, but he does not look like a business major. He looks like a poli-sci major who majors in poli-sci because they don't know what else to major in, because that's the only way that they can try to legalize weed. He had like long hair. I'm trying to remember. Fuck, I'm bad with faces. He had long hair. He had on like some kind of tropical shirt, I think, or button up or something. And so he comes in, and this guy is like very weird energy. Not like bad, but peculiar. because he like sucked in all the energy. He was very good at like dominating the conversation, and he did. So quickly the conversation becomes centered around him. When it was my turn in the interview seat, I was trying to, at the same time as like focusing on myself and doing the audition, trying to learn about all these people, because it felt like as much, in some ways, as much of an audition for me as it was for them. But this guy, he really just was like the center, was him. And the whole time, practically the whole time, him and the leftist lesbian girl just talked about music the whole fucking time, about all these different like rappers or dad rock musicians the whole fucking time. I'm telling you, the whole fucking time. Dominated conversation. It was like legitimately, like once it entered that domain, it never left that domain. That was all they were talking about. And it made me realize that, like, look, I care a lot about music. I'm always listening to music. Audiophiles are such a different beast. Truly. What the fuck, dude? It was so weird because it was like, of course you always hear from like the audiophile thing of like, oh, you like, what kind of headphones are you listening to? Oh, you have to make sure you're listening to like a high quality headphone. It's like, bitch, just let me listen to damn music. It's up to the musician to fucking adapt it. I mean, that's what I realized. It's like, when I'm making videos, you want to try to adapt them so that it works on multiple different platforms. It works when you're looking at it on your phone, as well as when you're looking at it on your TV. It looks at it when you're listening to headphones, as well as when you're listening to a speaker. A good musician needs to be able to do that. So I'm not going to rate something. That's why when I try to watch like a good movie for the first time, I will try to like reenact some kind of cinematic experience by like laying on the couch, lights off, and watching it on my TV. But like, I am going above and beyond comparatively. Like, you just need to adapt that to a wider audience. So like, fuck no, I'm not gonna try to amp up and listen with the ultra mega Sony whatevers. But they were also so unique, and it was like their entire discussion was about albums, which like blew me away. Because I don't know about you, but like I listen to music entirely by playlists. Like, here, I'll pull up Spotify. I make playlists. Look, all different playlists, all for all different vibes. So we got like this, which is more like depressing indie music, I think, like depressing angsty. This, which is like kind of like angry. I don't know. I use background of road trip montage. So like kind of more upbeat indie. Here we have like 50s, 60s, burn a house down music, backpack rap. And here we have like 70s rock, like modern rock, depressing, rap, R&B, indie music in general, lo-fi, some like disco-y stuff. And then I also have, where's PP Up? Here, PP Up, which is like upbeat. Like, that's how I listen to my music. Because when I listen to an album, it's like, what? Like, I'm not someone who, if I want to watch a Star Wars movie, I then feel obligated to watch the whole trilogy. If I want to watch a Marvel movie, I feel obligated to watch the whole fucking 20 films. Because you listen to an album by an artist, and like sometimes there's like stinkers on there. Straight up. The only album that I think is like a perfect album that I love every single song on is Circles and Circles Deluxe by Mac Miller. Because I just fell in love with that album. Everything else, I pick and choose. And I mean, even for Circles, it's like there are a handful of songs which I love so much more than some of the others. Like Circles on Circles, right? Or like Good News, or Surf, heaters, bangers. I Can See, That's on Me, banger, you know? Like, why, if I'm just trying to listen to a handful of those good songs, why put on the whole album? We're not listening to like vinyls or like a mixtape or a cassette. But it was like all of them. They were just talking about listening to albums. I was like, do you guys just like listen to albums? And they're like, yeah. And it blew me the fuck away. Cause like, what? there's so many different vibes that you can get from one single album that it's like, why? Like, I want to put music on to be able to get in a specific mood. An album, you get the like gestalt combination, but not even in the like sum of parts greater than the whole, just sum of parts. People ask me like, what kind of artists are you listening to? Or like, do you like, one that they really fucking talked about so much was the Pixies. And it's like, do you like the Pixies? And before that moment, it's like, there's like 4 songs of theirs that I have liked on Spotify. Because the way I listen to music is I just listen to playlists. I just find a song, I like the song, I put it in a playlist for the month and I listen. And sometimes I'll get recommended more songs and then I listen to those more songs. And if I like those more songs, they get added to the playlist. But I'm not going back and redigesting the same albums over and over again. So for like Pixies, it's like, yeah, sure, I like them. There are a few of their songs I like, but it's kind of like, I don't feel like I can say I like them, because I don't know their like whole album by album. They were saying like, yeah, like I care so much more about the album and the stories behind the album and like the whole like process of making it. And it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Honestly, like, who asked and who cares? I don't give a fuck. That's why, like, to be honest, I recently, like past month or so, I've like gotten like a little bit into Kanye, but like into Kanye still means that there's like 5 songs of his that I've liked on Spotify. I haven't sat down and listened to any of his playlists. I listened to Donda when it came out in like 2020, but it's like, I don't really feel all that bad about it because it's like, you know, even though I do feel like a sacrilegious Jew, I don't care about the story. Music is music. Music is slop. I don't know. I just don't care. So like, whatever. And like, some of them are fucking bangers, and I can't deny it. Lock Me Up. I don't care about the stories. What do you mean the stories behind it? Like, dude, come the fuck on. Real shit. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I'm not trying to fucking read a whole ass essay about like where the mood is here and like why whatever. It's like, I get that some albums are built so like I think I don't remember the story behind it, but like Kendrick Lamar, his like Mr. Morale album, I think that's about like his childhood and shit. Like, sure, okay, but like, is a song a good song? Or are we sitting here and listening to the artistic experience? I like music for music. I like music for background noise and to set the vibe and set the mood, not as like kumbaya, what is this, like, how does this make me feel? But it was so baffling. It was like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like, what are we doing? And so like, they were so much talking about Pixies the whole fucking night. And it's like I said, there's like 3 or 4 Pixies songs that I like before then. And so they're like, yeah, dude, Monkey Gone to Heaven is like my favorite album everywhere. And oh my God, that's how I got into music and whatever. And so when I left, I was like, all right, I'll listen to Monkey Gone to Heaven on the car ride back home. And then I tried to get a 7-Eleven Slurpee first, but then they were closed early. 7-Eleven's been fucking closing early. It's bullshit. It's like, come on. Part of me was like, I should fucking stand up and be the one to take over for the night shift. But then it's like, oh, well, then I can't stream. But so I tried to go to 7-Eleven and then they closed early, so I went to Wawa. But on the car ride, I was listening to the Pixies and a Monkey Gone to Heaven. And I was trying to sit down and go through it. And it's like, because I was thinking like, okay, a way to get an in here is to like then, because like the guy dominated the conversation. All right, I lost the audition. And I was tempted to like, all right, I'll listen to Pixies, and you know, maybe it fucking does slap, and then I can message the girl and be like, oh yeah, you know, actually, like, these were, like, damn, this does got some heat behind it. But I was listening to the album in the car, and it's like, songs are okay. Like, they got like a 50-50 hit rate, but even the ones that hit aren't that amazing. So you're telling me that every single fucking time you sit down and listen to the whole album, you go on a bike ride and you listen to the whole fucking album? No. Doolittle, that was the album. I think I got to Mr. Greaves and listening through it. Like 50-50 hit rate. Like Monkey Gone to Heaven, Wave of Humiliation, Tame. They're all right. The girl wasn't sick enough, nor was the album cool enough to actually warrant me texting. I was like, I don't give enough of a shit here. Like, the music didn't surprise me. It didn't hit the threshold. And look, I know that like I am someone who works better with people I'm comfortable with. And when it's a person I'm not comfortable with, it's then better in a one-on-one, I think, because then I can be like, I can just force myself to like just do it. But like in a group setting, it's a bit more difficult because I'm whatever. I'm a little pussy ass bitch ass. So it was like, I knew that like, and I also made some faux pas and like things saying and whatever, but like I was all right. So nothing ended up happening. I think we still probably follow each other on Instagram, me and the lesbian girl, but like I doubt anything comes from that. And whatever, that's fine. But I kind of realized that like, even though there is this kind of weird dating app culture idea in modern day, it's like, I doubt I'm going to find any success on these dating apps. It just feels a little bit too superficial for me. Like Tinder, it's like Tinder's the easiest to go through, but that's because you're just like the whole time in a second decide what you're gonna swipe or not, and then you're just churning through these people, and it like is less taxing on your mental, but like of course it's like, you know, like it's not gonna lead to much. Or like Hinge on the other hand is like more thinking through each one, because like even in the animations, it's just like Tinder, you swipe, there's immediately the next person. Hinge, you press the heart and then it's like a little animation of like zooming in and then the next person. So it causes you to pause and think more about it all. You know, Hinge I've had more success with, but it's still like, I don't fucking know, man.